James Brown, Snowman Jones coming to you live from Wrestling 911 headquarters, still in Tampa, Florida today. Just flew in on a breezy tropical storm kind of day. I think we have tropical storm Hurricane Sandy bracing down on Florida's east coast, but I'm on the west coast and I'm living at large and in charge. Speaking of large, this is rounding out the list, top 10 greatest super heavyweights of all time. We already listed off numbers 10 through 6, so I'll talk about those real quick. Number 10 was King Kong Bundy. Number 9, the One-Man Gang, a.k.a. Akeem. 8, the Big John Studd. Number 7 was Haystacks Calhoun. And number 6, we went all the way across the pond to Giant Haystacks, the man is known as Loch Ness in WCW. Woo! That is a big list. This list includes only folks over 400 pounds, the real super heavyweights of wrestling, 350, 400 pounds. So we did include, and we will include, Big John Studd, who weighed in at about 370. And I'm thinking we're going to include Bam Bigelow as number 5. So we're talking guys 350, 400 pounds or more here. The big heavyweights, not tall folks, heavyweights. We're talking Bam Bigelow. Good God, I love this guy. And I remember watching him in the early 80s. I remember having his wrestling figure. He's another giant that trained in Larry Sharp's Monster Factory. Not the only big man to train in Larry Sharp's Monster Factory. Scott Charles Bigelow, the guy who pushed Lawrence Taylor on national TV at a pay-per-view and then had to apologize the next night on Raw before facing LT at WrestleMania in the main event. He faced Taz, broke a freaking ring in WCW, ran out to the ring in a sweatshirt and street clothes, and challenged Goldberg when Goldberg was at the top of the height of his streak. 6'4", advertised, depending on the day, anywhere from 350 to 390. Scott Bam Bigelow went by the names Bam Bigelow, Bruce Bigelow, Crusher Bigelow, Crusher Yurkov. And I've got some wrestling magazines that talk about Bam Bigelow as the Crusher. He was a Russian. Bet you didn't know that. He died at the age of 45 in Hudson, Florida. Born 1961, and if my math fails me or doesn't fail me, puts it about 46 years old. So Bam Bigelow, tremendous loss when he passed away just a few years ago. I loved seeing this guy wrestle. 2-time WCW Tag Team Champion, ECW World Heavyweight Champion, and was part of ECW's Triple Threat with Shane Douglas and Chris Candido. Rounded out, Bam Bigelow also had Francine, and I know there was a time where Lance Storm was kind of in and out of the group. But Scott Bam Bigelow, he pulls off number 5 in this, I guess this top 10 list. Number 4. Oh, you know him. He is an amazing athlete. Let's see, he was 6'5", see if you can guess who he was. About 450 pounds. Real name Leon White, went by Baby Bull, Little Bull, Bull Power, Super Vader, Big Van Vader. We're talking about Vader. Leon Allen White was recently on Raw challenging and I think beating Heath Slater. Born in 1955, still active wrestling, wrestled at the Battle in the Bahamas too. That was out of Florida's NWA promotion. Leon White, if you don't know, when you saw this guy in his WCW prime, not when he went to WWE and he was jobbed out, he did main event SummerSlam against Shawn Michaels, but in his prime, he was simply unbeatable. Come out there with that monster football gear, shooting steam out of it, putting on the show, Harley Race, just looked like a midget next to this guy. He was amazing. Overseas in Japan, had feuds with Stan Hansen. He feuded with Stan for the AWA World Heavyweight Championship as Baby Bull. He was tremendous overseas. They loved him in IWGP. I know he tagged with Bam Bigelow, and for me, that was just amazing to see those two guys together. And it was a tremendous upset when he was beat by Ron Simmons, I believe, for the heavyweight championship at one point. That was something that just blew people's mind. The fans were totally into it. WCW played it as a quick roll-up victory. It was a fluke. Really got Ron Simmons over at the time. But this guy was amazing, and Sting's feud with him was something to be seen. Vader jumped ship at one point to the WWE. WWE didn't like his attitude, and although they kept him in main events, they always had him lose, and he just never was the same guy. And the one thing that I think all of you wrestling historians, and you have to be a wrestling historian to truly appreciate this show, I think. But do you remember when Cactus Jack lost his ear to Big Van Vader in a match where Cactus did the rope trick where he got his head caught in the ropes, got his ear ripped off, and they played that into a WCW feud back in April of 1993. Foley had 27 stitches from wounds in his face from a match in WCW Saturday Night. They just played this up like crazy. Then they had Davey Boy Smith feud with Vader. He has a tremendous history. Definitely an amazing athlete. Rounding out number 4 in our top 10 list. Number 3, God, this guy had to be 600 pounds at his peak if he was an ounce. The great Coquina himself, Coquina Maximus, the Wild Samoan Coquina. I'm talking about Yokozuna, 6'4", built at 589 pounds, born 1966, passed away way too early at the age of 34 in 2000. That was horrible. He was built from the Polynesian Islands, also built from Japan, trained by Afo Anua'i, a good friend of Wrestling911.com from WXW. Rodney was a tremendous athlete, a great guy. He could eat a whole couple chickens in one sitting. Posthumously inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame in 2012, and well-deserved. Coquina, you gotta love him. One of the most memorable moments I have from Yokozuna's life was actually when he got slammed by Lex Luger. Bobby Heenan called it a hip toss. I called it amazing. It was on the deck of, was it the USS Intrepid? Somebody leave a comment, tell me if I'm wrong there. It was on Independence Day, USS Intrepid, decommissioned aircraft carrier in the Body Slam Challenge, if I'm not mistaken. Then he faced Lex Luger, a newfound patriot of the United States, at SummerSlam back in that same year. Yokozuna was the WWF champion from 93 to 94, and when WWE hated Hulk Hogan, they kept replaying when Hulk was beat by the champion, Yokozuna. Yokozuna main evented a lot of WrestleManias, feuded with Bret Hart. Bret Hart made him look great. And you gotta put Yokozuna in your top 3 super heavyweights of all time. Though number 1 and number 2, let's stop for a second and talk about some of the guys who didn't make the list. Earthquake, close call, didn't make it. Kamala, Ugandan Giant, didn't make the list. The Big Boss Man didn't even make the list. Umaga, Viscera, didn't make this list. Rikishi, Tugboat, and the Giant Mark Henry did not make the list. The 911wrestling.com and bookmark our page list didn't include all those super heavyweights. Number 2, it's going to be controversial. We're giving it to Andrei Rasimov, a.k.a. Andre the Giant, wrestled as the Giant Machine, Jean Ferry, Monster Eiffel Tower, and Monster Rasimov. Billed at 7'5", folks, he wasn't anywhere near that tall. WWE, literally in half the promos they show him, he is legitimately standing on a box. Tremendous presence, tremendous guy, everybody loved him. He was more legend than anything else. Billed as the 8th wonder of the world. 525 pounds when I watched him. PWI always put him in at 520. From Grenoble in the French Alps. Trained by Frank Valou. Debut in 1963, retired in 1992. He was a heck of an athlete for his size. His size put him ahead of the game. You know, he was just an amazing athlete, and everyone says he was a great guy. He definitely deserves to be in the top 10. A lot of people would say that he needs to be number 1 just because he's such a legend. But we'll get to that. Andre, you know, he fought professional boxers. He took on Muhammad Ali. He was in The Princess Bride. The movie My Giant was supposed to be Billy Crystal and Andre the Giant, but Andre passed away too soon and couldn't star in the movie. Bet you didn't know that about Andre the Giant. Andre was a tremendous athlete, and he faced Hulk Hogan, putting Hulk Hogan, and Hulk has thanked Andre for years afterwards. It makes Hulk look like a good guy. At WrestleMania 3, where Hulk and Andre had a legendary battle, and I personally attribute that body slam to Andre's early death, because Andre just had back surgery. Hulk slams him, screwed up Andre's back. Andre had to repeatedly have back surgery again and again until his heart couldn't take it and he passed away. I really think WrestleMania 3 might have been a partial contributor to Andre's early death, and obviously him just being a giant was a big contributor. So anyway, Andre the Giant, number 2 on the list. So who's left for number 1? There's got to be someone over 7 foot tall. Someone billed at well over 400 pounds. Someone once known as a real giant. The Big Show, Paul White. That's right, the 7-footer, 7 foot 1 inches tall, born 1972. Resides in Tampa, Florida, billed from Tampa, Florida. So he's a local boy, trained by Jim Duggan, Glenn Ruth, and Larry Sharp in the Monster Factory. WCW trainee, though. Made his debut, let's see, billed as the largest athlete. I think it was it Bash at the Beach? I have to think about that. But Andre the Giant is one of the people that everybody said should be number 1. But folks, Big Show is just that much more athletic. I've heard Ric Flair say that the number 1 big man of all time is the Big Show, and I'm not one to argue with Ric Flair. So this guy who starred in Knucklehead, he's been in a lot of movies, a lot of TV shows. He's in The Waterboy, he's in Star Trek Enterprise, he's in Royal Pains, which is a USA Network show, which doesn't really count as TV. He's held the WWE Tag Team Championship 3 times. He's held the ECW Heavyweight Championship, the World Championship, the WWE Championship. He's done it all. Grand Slam winner, the largest Grand Slam winner, I'm sure. The 12th Grand Slam winner in WWE history. The Big Show deserves being ranked number 1. Folks, that rounds out the top 10. If you're a wrestling historian, subscribe to my channel. I'm Snowman Jones. My top website, I've got a bunch of them. My top site is 911wrestling.com. Check it out. Read the news there. Read about indie wrestling. And post, talk about wrestling, love wrestling. I'm out of here. Hope you enjoyed the show.